Hey there, my friend, and thank you so much for tuning into this month's episode of Up Next on Access Hammonton. I'm NorEasterNick. All right, so clearly, with it being October, our show has a theme. Halloween. Duh. Let's get right into it. I caught up with Don Swenson, who told me all about the Art Club of Hammonton's Dark Arts show at Kiwanis. It is so cool. Check this out.
We've done this for 3 years now. We've got 20 artists, 30-something different pieces. We've been trying to kind of stir things up a little bit and get some just weird stuff around town. So it was really successful. We started off where Fermented is right now, and we've done Kiwanis for the last 2 years, and the feedback has been pretty phenomenal. It's really cool that there's this growing community of artists, and that they're constantly feeding off of each other, exposing them to different venues and really connecting. It's been kind of great. I've got a couple of pieces in here. I've got 2 pieces on the wall back here and another piece in the front. I go through all of the different pieces, choose the show, and set out the applications and do all the social media and stuff on it. So yeah, it's fun. They're walking into a normal gallery sort of experience, but lots of weird, kind of creepy art. Some stuff that references pop culture, and things that sort of I don't know, poke fun at the spooky and get people thinking. They can talk to the people over at Kiwanis right at the desk and just say that they're interested in a piece, and they'll take the money and contact our artists. They can reach out to us through social media, Art Club Hammonton on both Facebook and Instagram, or email me at artclubhammonton@gmail.com. We want to make the arts more accessible to the community. We want to create more live events that get people talking about art and seeing art more as a verb instead of a noun. Really get people involved, creating, experiencing, talking about art. Keep going. Talk about your work. Don't be afraid to keep it. Don't keep it in a notebook and be afraid to share it with people. Just let people see what you've got to say, because there's a chance out there that somebody's thinking the same thing that you're doing. It's going to connect with them.
Definitely an interesting and unique event for all of us. Makes for some great scenery while sipping on your latte or hot chocolate, right? Downtown Hammonton's 16th annual Trick or Treat was held last weekend. I was absolutely amazed at how many ghouls and goblins were out there showing off their crazy, scary, and original costumes. Local businesses along Main Street come together each year to create a safe and fun environment for everyone. There were games and prizes and memories made. Downtown Hammonton does an amazing job putting it all together each and every year. We thank them for their involvement and creating an event to remember. Did you all get to see the amazing parade last Wednesday? I swear it gets better and better each and every year. I mean, there is a lot of work that goes into it after all. The Kiwanis Club has been doing this every year for 46 years.
Well, this is the 46th year that the Kiwanis are putting on the Halloween parade. From the sponsorships that we have to the behind the scenes that goes on, lining up all the floats. Bob Shank is an integral role in putting this whole thing together. He's been doing it for years. He does an awesome job. I know the kids of the community, the parents, everybody looks forward to it every year, and that's why we do it. It's fun. The favorite part of the whole process, I would say, is seeing the expressions on the kids' faces when the floats go by, and it kind of brightens up their day and brings them in the Halloween spirit, which is one of my favorite holidays of the year. So I would say that's probably my favorite part. I think this parade is a great opportunity to bring the community together, and especially getting over the couple years of COVID, and last year was the real first year that we had it, so we want to continue it on and build it and bring everybody out and have everybody get together and be able to celebrate a holiday and just bring some joy to families and kids. Putting it all together, what a lot of people don't see is on Egg Harbor Road, that's where everybody lines up, all the floats, the walkers. So there's a lot that goes into registering people, getting numbers, what they would like us to say about them when they approach the judges stand. So if you pay close attention, you'll see when the floats come down, there'll be cards that are distributed to the judges stand with a little blurb about what that organization once said about them. So it all happens behind the scenes on Egg Harbor and then makes its way right down Bellevue. A lot of great floats, a lot of great bands. The dance teams put on a great show, even down to the individual walkers. A lot of creativity goes into it, and I think there's something for someone and everyone in the event. So where we'd like to see it in 3 years when it hits 50, or 4 years when it hits 50, is we'd like to see a bigger participation in the parade. We'd like to see it go from 3rd Street down to Egg Harbor and then even further. And I think just with bringing this to light to the community and stressing the Kiwanis name and what we're about, I think that's what's going to do it. So Kiwanis is an organization that was started, actually this year was started 100 years ago. It's an organization that's about community. We cater to the kids of the community, underprivileged, and we like to just offer our help with community projects, stuff with the school systems, and just be that outreach to the community.
I love it. I mean, how could you not? It's an amazing night all the way around. Girl Scout Troop 3257 took first place in floats. Hammonton Health Coalition and number 12 Happy Halloween won second and third place. Psycho Circus won first place in groups, followed closely by St. Lutheran Church and Reed Preschool in second and third. Best dance group went to Paul Morris. First place individual went to Hot Dog Cart. Second place to Josephine on Stilts, and Lunchbox Sandwich took third. The President's Choice this year went to Hammonton Hawks cheerleaders. During the parade, there was a very special dedication to Corporal Richard Jones, who passed away last spring. Chief Friel took the mic and relayed a heartfelt message to the public on behalf of the police department.
On March 31st, 2022, Corporal Richard Jones of the Hammonton Police Department had been recently retired and passed away unexpectedly. The loss was felt throughout the police department, the school system, and throughout our community. Immediately, our police department scrambled to find a way to honor him and recognize him in something that was going to last on in the community. And through help between our Hammonton Drug Alliance, the LEAD program, and a couple other vendors that we worked with, we were able to honor Jonesy in the best way that we could see fit. And through the planning, we came up with this vehicle. It's Vehicle 971. Vehicle 971 is Corporal Richard Jones' badge number. It's emblazoned with the corporal badge and the signature in memory of Corporal Richard Jones.
Patrol Car 971 will be on the road, used for protecting our schools. That's something Corporal Jones would have loved. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The Hammonton Police Department uses this month as an opportunity to educate everybody on all forms of cancer. Chief Friel explains.
Well, usually October is breast cancer awareness, and in Hammonton we have kind of expounded upon that to include all types of cancers. We do a Facebook post with different types of cancers to give people an awareness of what symptoms or signs to look for, what things they can do to pre-screen, to have an advanced awareness of the onset of any of these cancer diseases. And it's important because it is something to help keep people healthy. Hammonton has its fair share of people who have been afflicted with cancer, same as any other community. And what we try to do is work with our Hammonton Cancer Foundation, who is an organization that really does wonders to help out people in and around our community with financial needs that develop because of being afflicted with cancer, with treatments, with costs of things. A lot of times when people are going through a treatment, they may not be able to work. So the Hammonton Cancer Foundation helps financially to help individuals out through that rough time. Every October, the officers and employees in our department and also within the town of Hammonton, to show the support for people who are afflicted with cancer, we raise funds. We each individually donate money, which goes to the Hammonton Cancer Foundation at the end of the month. And officers are either wearing pink badges, as you can see here, or other civilian employees have T-shirts that are either black or pink with emblazoned with our department logo. And we've also had some of our town hall employees have the interest and we've made shirts for them with our Town of Hammonton logo on it. All the money that we collect goes to the Hammonton Cancer Foundation to help the good cause that they serve, as I explained before, helping those in need that are afflicted by cancer.
What an awesome thing to do. Thank you so much for doing this, Chief. It means a lot to our community. This past weekend marked the 10-year anniversary of the landfall of Hurricane Sandy. And while the impact in Hammonton wasn't horrific, it was a storm that will forever be remembered in South Jersey. I leave you with a package I put together showcasing OEM response and the response of local volunteers. Thanks so much for joining us this month, and we hope you'll tune in next month to see what's up next on Access Hammonton. 10 years ago today, one of the worst storms in New Jersey's history came crashing ashore right here in Atlantic City. It would bring destruction the likes we have not seen in decades up and down the Jersey Shore. Before that day in 2012, it was a hypothetical situation forecasters said would happen, but many residents never believed in. Just 6 days before landfall, Hurricane Sandy started life as a tropical storm deep in the heart of the Caribbean Sea. It crossed over Cuba, briefly strengthening into a Category 3 storm, but managed to stay away from the East Coast. In fact, many forecast models suggested Sandy would go harmlessly out to sea. The Euro notably was the outlier, predicting the final landfall within just 30 miles of where it would eventually end up. A little over 48 hours out from landfall, it was evident that the upper air pattern would guide Sandy towards New Jersey and the worst case scenario would be realized. The scenes of chaos and destruction will forever be etched in the minds of every Sandy survivor. We saw the pictures, we saw the videos, but many are completely unaware of what actually happened in the trenches as Sandy barreled ashore. I had an opportunity to catch up with Atlantic City Fire Chief Scott Evans to recount his memories from that day.
So about a week before Sandy hit Atlantic City, we started hearing stories about a potential hurricane coming out of the Caribbean, that it was going to come up the East Coast and it would actually make a left hook into New Jersey. And our first thought was, there's no way this is going to happen. But we did prepare for it. We started, I think it was a good 8 days before it actually hit us that we started preparing for it. And as we watched the potential projected track, we were still saying, this is not really going to happen. The day before Sandy got here, I was standing on New Hampshire Avenue with 4 to 6 inches of water just cascading over New Hampshire Avenue into the inlet, into the First Ward section, just filling up around Uptown School, Vermont Plaza, and Inlet Towers. So one of the things I remember was one of our guys saying, man overboard, man overboard. So I quickly turned around, had the driver stop the vehicle and say, well, what's going on? What happened? One of our rescuers had 2 kids standing in about 18 to 20 inches of water, sitting there crying with their mother. So he ran down the street, picked them up, and put them back in the truck. Then I remember turning around saying, who has the bag of rope? Because we were expecting a surge, and I was anticipating if this vehicle starts floating, it's going to be real serious because we were so close to the bay. I'm like, if we start to float, just tie around a pole and try to secure this vehicle there. So people were like, I evacuated twice before, nothing happened. But we tell them, that's not the case. It's still going to create a lot of damage, and you need to heed the warnings of the emergency personnel. The evacuation started in Atlantic City voluntarily 72 hours before. Atlantic City being the urban environment that it is, the people who live in Atlantic City, their homes, everything they have is in their homes, is in their little abodes, if you will, and they're reluctant to leave there and thinking that it's going to be unsafe or they could be, pillaged or robbed if they should leave their houses. So they're really reluctant to leave. So we try to educate people and tell them how important it is to evacuate, and we do have shelters that we stand up and try to provide an area of safe refuge for them. We need to inform the public. We really do need to get the word out, and we need to use now, 10 years later, we have a greater ability to do that through social media, through the many different, the use of our sirens that we have in Atlantic City now, our warning systems, the reverse 911 ability that we have through telephones. Our notification systems have gotten 10 times better. So that's one of the good advancements that we've seen. And we'll just get the information out to the public, get them educated, and let them know that, you need to seek safe refuge.
Are you concerned about the next one?
Absolutely. Greatly concerned. Just the recent northeasterns that we've had, storms that we've seen moderate flooding. Today we're seeing minor flooding. We are seeing water in the streets, not severe, but we're seeing. So, we're real concerned that, when we see the next, which every 10 years, we're going to get hit with something pretty serious. So we are concerned about that, and we're doing everything we can to improve the bulkheads, to improve the infrastructure, to put our buffers, to improve our dunes, to get our beaches up to where they can protect the economy here and people's homes.
We want to thank our first responders, as they are the backbone of our communities and really did everything they could to help people in need. If there was one positive that did ultimately come out of Sandy, it was the fact that people dropped what they were doing, came from all over the place to help their friends and neighbors, and in many cases, even strangers. I want to introduce you to Cricket Denton, who is a local reverend who was involved in the recovery efforts back then 10 years ago.
When we try to understand natural disasters, especially from a religious or spiritual aspect, we wonder, why is God doing this? Why does God do this? But I try and look at natural disasters and say, this isn't an act of God, but what is a response to God is the volunteers that come in afterwards. We had a volunteer team that drove from California, cross country. They drove through Christmas Eve, through Christmas Day, to get to our church in New Jersey the day after Christmas. They worked through New Year's Eve, they worked New Year's Day. This was people giving up their holidays, one of the most important holidays in the Christian calendar, and they were giving that up to help strangers, to help people that they didn't even know. And that's where I saw the light. That's where I saw God in the midst of this, not in the destruction and the disaster, but in the love and care that came afterwards. We got a call from our conference office. We were kind of scrambling after the hurricane. We'd never really done this kind of thing in New Jersey before, this disaster response. And we sort of were talking about it, and we get a call from our conference office that said, we have teams that are interested in coming in. And I wasn't even a pastor at the time, I was a secretary. So I get the phone call, and they said, we have teams that are interested in coming in. Would you want to host them at your church? Me, having no authority whatsoever, goes, yeah, sure. I didn't ask our trustees, didn't ask our lead pastor, didn't ask anyone. Kind of went out on a limb, took a leap of faith, and that's what happened. And I sort of asked for forgiveness afterwards. But for 2 solid years, that's what we did, and our church just rallied behind it. So it was sort of spontaneous in the moment. I thought, yes, we absolutely have to do this. Taking stuff out. We call it mucking and gutting, where they're just taking everything out of the house, stripping the house down. But it also gets into some rebuilding too. We worked on the bay, on the western part of southern New Jersey, and they did a lot of stairs. So I know there's some pictures of people who build stairs, but they're doing drywall. They're just rebuilding in a lot of situations. We had some youth teams that were doing like painting. Youth teams can't do a whole lot of building, so they did a lot of painting. They put up fences. Really, we partnered the teams with the work that could be done that they were capable of doing. I think the most challenging aspect is that we're still dealing with it. So there are people, so I'm doing Ida recovery now, which hit North Jersey. There are still people that didn't fully recover from Sandy, and we're 10 years later, and now they got hit by Ida. It's a very frustrating process. It's very long, it's drawn out, and we're still dealing with it, and I think that's the hardest part. I think the most important message to get out is that there is help. There are different organizations, not just the Methodist Church, there are different nonprofit organizations that are in New Jersey that are helping. We are working with the federal government, so it takes a really long time, but there is help out there. So just don't give up faith. Have faith. Keep trying. Keep making phone calls. Keep bugging whoever you need to bug, because there is help.
Seeing images like that is truly heartening and just shows you what volunteerism means to our communities in times of need. A lot of people ask me a very popular question: could another Sandy happen? And my answer, while unsettling, is deeply rooted in the facts. Statistically speaking, yes, absolutely, it's inevitable. But it's important that we stay weather aware and always have a plan in place for the next big storm. All we can do right now is hope that it never does actually happen in our lifetimes.